Oftentimes, we have guys that come in our comments or in our chats and say to us, "You will die alone with your cat." Remember, single women, you'll die alone, but so will most married women. Unsurprisingly, it's not unusual for a certain type of man to pop up in the comments to tell the writer how unattractive her attitude makes her to him. These men genuinely seem to think this will bother her, which generally means they've completely missed her point. Sooner or later, one of them decides to point out to her that with an attitude like that, she'll die alone. Many of these men have not only missed the point of the writing, but also pertinent facts about the writer, who may be happily married or partnered, sometimes to a woman, but often to a man, because she's fully capable of loving individual men, in spite of her belief that the patriarchy needs a major overhaul. They also miss another important fact. An awful lot of women die alone, if indeed being single is the same as being alone. Women still tend to live longer, and although stereotypes are shifting, heterosexual women still have a tendency to marry older men. This means that, barring tragic and untimely deaths, married women tend to outlive their husbands. Things are changing, of course, with a significant number of older women choosing to repartner with younger men. But on average, according to Pew Research, women are younger than their male partners in every country across the world, making them statistically far more likely to age and die alone. I see this myself in my daily life. My 87-year-old mother has been widowed for 13 years, having previously been married for over 50 years to a man 7 years her senior. What these statistics mean is that while many men have the privilege of being nursed through their final illnesses, often by slightly or much younger and fitter wives or partner, most women don't. Most women die alone or at least unmarried, frequently having already been widowed for many years. The quotation marks around alone are there for a reason. Coming to the end of your life as a single woman does not, of course, mean you're dying alone. You could easily be dying surrounded by friends and family. No matter what the angry young men in the comments say, being unmarried does not automatically equate to being alone, at least not for women. For men, however, it often does. Men tend to have less close social networks and fewer close friends in general. Research suggests that men have a tendency to get their social support from their female partners, leading to single men being more socially isolated than single women, who are more likely to get their social support from other women. Again, this is often evident in everyday life, where women in heterosexual relationships act as the social secretary for the couple, arranging social events and even managing their partner's emotional connections to other people, their extended family and social network. In an interesting piece in the Harvard Business Review, this is referred to as women acting as kin keepers, who manage relationships within the family and the community, keeping their partners connected to people that they would otherwise grow apart from. Given that good social relationships are perhaps the most consistent predictor of a happy life, this could perhaps explain why marriage seems to work so much better for men than for women. Or as Paul Dolan, author of Happy Ever After, has put it, if you're a man, you should probably get married. If you're a woman, don't bother. Married men are having their relationships managed for them, while married women are, of course, taking on the extra work and emotional toll of managing those relationships. Perhaps that's why single, child-free women, according to Dolan, are the healthiest and happiest population subgroup. They have more time to manage the relationships that matter to them with friends and family, and are not necessarily less likely than any married or previously married woman to be surrounded by loved ones at the end of their life. However you look at it, the threat aimed at women by men who disapprove of their views seems an empty one. You'll die alone may or may not be particularly accurate for most women, but you'll die single is statistically speaking likely to be accurate for women who marry at some point during their life, as well as those who don't. Married men are the ones who are most likely to die while still married, which means they reap the benefits of being cared for by their partner in their later years. So what does it really mean when men urge women to marry or they'll die alone? I suspect it just means you should all get married. Otherwise, we men will have to die alone. Now let's go into something called gray divorce, the aftermath of gray divorce for men, women, and their adult children. Mothers are twice as likely to have more frequent contact with their adult children after a late divorce than before. Fathers are only half as likely to engage regularly with their grown children after a split. Now, great divorce is this sort of thing of boomers divorcing like never before. So it's people who are divorcing in their 50s. So they notice that when these men divorce, they often remarry and then they're kind of cut off from their original family structure and their relationships even break down with their children. Gray divorce can leave men cut off from crucial social support when they are most frail and most in need of medical care, hospital visitors, and final reassurance of family love. In research, described a recent surge in the number of kinless older adults. Most of those kinless are men.